Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. He who has not first laid his foundations may be able with great ability to lay them afterwards, but they will be laid with trouble to the architect and danger to the building. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. A prince should therefore have no other aim or thought, nor select anything else for his study, than war and its rules and discipline, for this is the sole art that belongs to him who rules. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. He who builds on the people builds on mud. A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. A prince must imitate the fox and the lion, for the lion cannot defend himself against snares, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the snares, and a lion to terrify the wolves. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Men in general judge more by the sense of sight than by the sense of touch, because everyone can see, but few can test by feeling. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. It is much more secure to be feared than to be loved. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. One change always leaves the way open for the establishment of others. Men are more often treacherous out of weakness than out of calculated malice. There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. The more sand has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it. Princes and governments are far more dangerous than other elements within society. The nature of men is to be more dominated by fear than by reverence. The main foundations of every state, new states as well as ancient or composite ones, are good laws and good arms. And because you cannot have good laws without good arms, and where there are good arms, good laws inevitably follow. A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. He who is highly esteemed is safe from danger. Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. A prince is also esteemed when he is a true friend and a true enemy. A prince should always ask advice, but only when he wants it, not when others want to give it. It is necessary for a prince who wishes to maintain his position to learn how not to be good and to use this knowledge or not to use it according to necessity. Of mankind, we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. There is no other way of guarding yourself against flatterers except by letting men understand that to tell you the truth does not offend you. No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until it is ripe for execution. The greatest danger of all is to see the enemy and not to see him. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. Men are always wicked at bottom unless they are made good by some compulsion. He who has relied least on fortune is established the strongest. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. Nature creates few men brave. Industry and training make many. Men should be either treated generously or destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries. For heavy ones they cannot. The new ruler must determine all the injuries that he will need to inflict. He must inflict them once and for all. The great majority of mankind are satisfied with appearances, as though they were realities, and are often more influenced by the things that seem than by those that are. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Before all else, be armed. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both.